Hi, this is Dave with DavesTR4A. I'm going to bore you with one final video on my voltage stabilizer that I made. This is the final product. I ended up making another circuit board for the top cover to mount the two brand new brass terminals on here. So it's organized just like the old one. The battery input's on the top, and it's labeled that, and then the output for the instruments is below here, and it's labeled too. I'm serializing them just to keep track of when I shipped them and which run they were in. So the only problem I'm having is sourcing this metal case. Basically, I just drill out the rivets. Well, you've seen the other videos, so you know the drill, I guess. But this is where I mount the voltage regulator to the case to make sure I get a good ground connection. Plus, it helps with the thermal transfer into the case. Although they don't get very hot, so I've done some tests on the bench with fuel gauge sending unit and hardly any power at all. So I'm going to hook it up here and show you how this is one ready to go. I'll hook it up here and show you my setup for testing. Well, before I show you the test, I just show you the evolution here. This is my original prototype, which I'll probably keep forever. It's just a piece of they call it a vector board, if you're not familiar with it. It's just it's got holes on 1/10 inch centers that have a pad or copper pad on one side you can solder to. So basically that's it. This one has a electrolytic capacitor for the output side, and I built a few like that, and then I decided on the final one that I'd switch to what's called a dip tantalum capacitor, which is this yellow part here. It's a bit more rugged for harsh environments than the electrolytics. I was a printed circuit designer in the defense contract business for several years, and we found that the electrolytic capacitors, like this black one here, don't hold up, and so they're no bueno for military electronics. And so if it's good enough, this is good enough for military electronics, they're good enough for my Triumph voltage stabilizers. So anyway, that's the circuit board subassembly, and then this is my top cover subassembly here, and it's got solder pads on the bottom here where I solder the wires into the top cover here, and then here's a unit ready to test. And I have this is a 0 to 15 volt 3 amp variable power supply. And then I have a Fluke auto-ranging voltmeter that will read to 3 decimal places. So as you can see, I have the setup here where the power supply is connected to the battery input and ground, and then the instrument out is going to my Fluke meter. So if I turn on the the voltage supply, I'm started, like you can see, it's 14.5 volts. And my output is 9.96 volts. So it's within 40 millivolts of 10 volts, which I think is probably pretty good for what we're doing here. So anyway, I can demonstrate. If you can, let me see if I can turn this to where, or how can I do this? Let's see. I want to try to get both my input and my output in here. So okay, there we go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to slowly reduce my input voltage to simulate a battery. So I'm down to 13.5. We're still at 9.96. 13 volts, still 9.96. 12.5. 12. 11.7. See, I never really seen when it would drop out. This is called the voltage regulator I'm using is referred to as a low dropout, and what that means is the difference between the input and the output voltage is like a half a volt or something like that. So you can see it's still at 9.97 volts, and the battery would be down to 11.3. So, but I think if it goes down See, we're down at 10.5. If the battery's at 10.5, the car isn't starting anyway, so the last thing you need to worry about is what your fuel gauge says. But you can see that this thing works pretty well. A lot of the ones you see can't do this, and it doesn't have a lot of the other features that the low dropout voltage regulator that mine can do. So anyway, as soon as I get more of these crazy cans, I'll be able to ship more. So just send me an email at dconnitt @gmail.com, and I'll put you on the list if you're interested. And it's $25 for the unit, and if I have to ship it to you, it'll be $10, and it'll go out in a priority mail box, one of those little mailboxes, the cardboard boxes, so it's pretty well protected. Then I'd like to get your old one back so I can use the can from that to make another one. And you can just send that back and whatever. I could care less. If the only thing I don't want to have is a damaged case, but you can just throw it in a padded envelope or something and mail it back to me. So, well, anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I promise I will never put another video on for the voltage stabilizer, because I think I've kind of beat it to death here. So anyway, thanks for watching, and please subscribe and like. Thanks a lot. That's it for now. Please like and subscribe.